He's got a bit more time under his belt today.
Yeah, and that's what's even more interesting is, you know, at the driver introduction, his car was not there. You wonder, well, what's been going on? Maybe they fired up, had an issue, or just getting it down. Here we go. Let's send it for our first battle of our top 16. Ryan Turk and that Rain-X Toyota GR Corolla Rockstar Energy Drink Pilot initiates in that first outside zone. This hot hatchback overcooks it. Those 2 tires off in that first outside zone. And this is what we're talking about. You know, not a lot of track time as Dylan Hughes, the dozer, trying to bully him around, trying to push him around. The dozer put on that snow plow, pushing him on through. In that last outside zone, Ryan Turk does dial it in. Oh, Dylan Hughes goes off. Dylan Hughes gets into the dirt. He does fight back. Ooh, and that is precarious because, again, that dirt has definitely debeated some tires. If he debeated his tires without contact, he's done.
Yeah, so this all starts off, obviously, with the initiation. Ryan Turk way out to the outside, gets along those rumble strips and pushes a little bit wide. Dylan Hughes doing a good job to keep his composure. Now starts to dive in as Ryan Turk adds a bunch more angle right up in here through that second outside zone. And then Dylan Hughes able to keep pushing through the third outside zone. And that's where you see Turk dipping 1 tire, and then Dylan Hughes, kind of fishing in through it. So, yeah, that first outside zone is way too deep for Ryan Turk. Second outside zone looking much more dialed. But, yeah, Dylan Hughes doing a good job in the chase. You can see Ryan Turk just trying to feed that car around. Dylan sitting in the pocket, keeping a good proximity. Then through our third outside zone, it looks like Turk dips 1 tire, and then Dylan dips 2. So both of them riding on the absolute course edge to that.
His 4th championship would be the first ever 4-time champion. Here we go, James Machine Dean on his own Mustang RTR. Spec 5 FD, he wants to advance on and knock out Odie and maybe win it. We'll see. Andy Haley, he's gonna fight tooth and nail, going to that second outside zone. Goes the Mustang, little disruption there, a little attitude. Andy Haley not backing down. A little bit of distance here between Andy Haley and James Dean in that last outside zone. Goes James, look at the precision. He is putting on a clinic, using every bit of the tarmac here at UMC. Well executed, showing you why he has a 3-time champ. And again, Odie getting suited and booted.
Yeah, James Dean driving like he grew up at this track. So you can see the feint initiation there, holds out a little bit longer to get it out into the zone. Gets in a little bit later than I would have liked, but not too bad through that first outside zone. Puts on the rockets, gets into our second. Now Andy Haley doing what he can to kind of keep up with the rocket ship that is that RTR Mustang. James holding it really well through the second outside zone. Now into the third, James Dean just absolutely locked and loaded all the way through that zone. Andy does fall into step a little bit further back, but doesn't do too bad of a job. So there is 1 or 2 small spots here where Andy can make up the difference. That being getting into that first outside zone right away. And obviously, it's kind of really the only mistake that James Dean made. So Andy not too bad in the chase, very difficult to keep up with these cars, and the fact that James Dean can lay down that kind of line with that kind of angle with that much speed, he's here to win the championship today.
Yeah, and there we are. And again, Odie, I'm sure he's putting it out of his mind because he knows that it's baby steps.
Yeah.
Here we are on 16. He knows, how capable James Dean is. But again, it's a must-win for Odie Bakshish in order to knock off James Dean. But James, he's cruising. I think he's cruising. He's cool. He's comfortable. He's collected. And he knows he's got the car and he's got the talent.
Yeah, he's got everything on his side right now. He just has to keep his head straight and drive the way that he knows how to drive, and that'll be it.
And what's interesting too is, again, James, as we really kind of give him his flowers, big him up, he does have kryptonite. Sometimes he beats himself, overcooks it. Right now, Andy Haley's going to try to take down this 3-time champion, and he is a very capable driver. Ooh, he does drop that tire. Might have been 2, but that will not be an incomplete. Definitely not 3 in the second outside zone. There goes Andy Haley, and look at that. He is right on that razor's edge. He is riding that tire right on that white line. James Dean goes in on the inside. Amazing proximity by James Dean. Like I said, a minor mistake by James out front, but Andy Haley in that chase position having a little bit of difficulty. But now as he leads, James really kind of twisting the screws on him.
Yeah, James can put that car wherever he needs to put it, and you see a lot of signs of that in the chase here. So Andy Haley gets into the zone a little bit later, kind of a similar spot that James Dean did, pushes a little bit deeper than James would have. Now in the lead, Andy Haley not doing too bad of a job out out front, holding into that zone quite well. James Dean actually falls back just a touch to that second outside zone. Now into the third. James, this is what I was talking about. He's able to get the car in, he noses it in, then gets the back in. Would have liked to have actually seen him a little bit further back on the car, having his rear wheels in the zone, but keeps the proximity. James is known for being a really excellent proximity driver. But yeah, the question is going to be, is this enough right now to definitively knock out Andy Haley and move on to the next round, basically forcing Odi Bakshis to do the same to keep this championship fight alive. So yeah, James Dean doing a great job there. My only critique would be, would like to see him a little further back, you know, slightly.
In the pocket.
Yeah, you want to, I mean, the chase car still has to fill out the zones as well. I think that's maybe a misconception some people have. Like, proximity is great, but it's got to keep back.
Yeah, and you know, James Dean, keep winning and stay ahead of Odi in the brackets. So slide him left for James Dean or right for Andy Haley, and a good effort by Andy Haley, but James just a level up. So some great driving by Andy on Tuesday on a motorcycle, the Permatex Permatex motorcycle, excuse me. Here we go. Dylan Dozier Hughes in that first outside zone, puts it right in there exactly where you need to be. Ryan Turk gets a little disrupted, gets thrown off as Dylan Hughes goes in that second outside zone, comes at an angle, just a little touch, but reinitiates, and now Ryan Turk drops into formation. That hot hatchback comes out of it again, and now going to the outside zone goes Ryan Turk. He goes deep. It looked like he was getting into the dirt, but didn't see much brown cloud at all, really. But again, aggressive driving by both the drivers. It
did look like there was a bit of a checkup from Dylan Hughes in the second outside zone as well, pretty early on. So once we get to the replay, we'll have to take a look at that and really understand what happened there. So Dylan Hughes out front, Ryan Turk following in behind. Initiation looks good. Dylan gets in fairly early, gets back on the throttle partway through. Now they transition back out. Looks like Turk overcooks it just a touch. And right there, Dylan Hughes has that big correction. It almost looks like he lost power for a second. Gets back on it. And Ryan does a good job to more or less be in a correct spot where he's able to correct for it. And then right there, it looks like Turk just pushes a bit wide, drops one tire as the dirt cloud now starts to slide our way. So both drivers having some difficulty in the third outside zone. I think we'll probably need a side-by-side on this, but yeah, big correction. Almost two corrections there from Dylan Hughes. Just very uncharacteristic. Normally when he gets into those zones, he can lock it in quite well. So not entirely sure what happened there.
Yeah, mistakes on both sides, on both lead runs from both the drivers. As you can see James Dean capturing a little content.
I think he's got the moves.
Yeah, she's got the moves of Jagger. She is English. Yeah. That's Jagger.
All right.
Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Turk leading on the left. Our BC Racing go for gold.
So, yeah, Turk looks like he's superseded a little bit in that first outside zone, whereas Dylan did a slightly better job now getting into the second outside zone. I do think Ryan Turk definitely has the advantage in the second outside zone. Look at Dylan Hughes really able to get into the pocket in the chase there. Now moving over to our third. Fairly similar. Now, Dylan looks like he has a bit better proximity.
Oh, yeah.
But both chase drivers dropping into the dirt a little bit. So, be a tough one. Definitely be a bit of a tough one.
This is, again, fighting for it. Ryan Turk coming off that victory at round 6 at Evergreen Speedway, just north of Seattle. And Dylan the Dozer Hughes, like I said, going 202 miles per hour on the Permatex motorcycle at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Just definitely he's put down 8 runs, man. We're talking about the halftime break. It's going to be some cool content. Here we go. Sliding left for Ryan Turk, right for Dylan Hughes. One more time. Dylan Hughes and Dylan Hughes. Second out from first to 2. Here we go. This is Jeff Jones going into that first outside zone, and he draws a good line there, filling all of it. That allows Brandon Sorensen to just get to the side of him. And as you said, looks like a little straight line approach, but both of them mimicking the angle. Brandon Sorensen, I mean, he's just a magnet to that big drift energy evil. Nissan 370Z. Oh, buddy, we're dropping some tire, getting a little out of shape. Everywhere Jeff is going, even into the dirt, Brandon is going.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice chase run from Brandon, and a good example of really what the judges are looking for when it comes to the chase. So that second outside zone, we'll bring it up here in a second, but let's take a look here. Jeff Jones getting a little bit of a flick action going into that first outside zone. Look at that. One tire in, 2 tires in. Brandon Sorensen doing a good job to be parallel. Now into the second outside zone. Take a look. So Jeff Jones settles in. Now right here, Brandon Sorensen settles in. He is in that zone as well, mirroring the angle. He's still got a little bit of room to go for the proximity, but that is more or less what the judges are looking for. Now Brandon comes in with some decent closing speed. It's a little bit of a body check in there. Jeff Jones just stays on throttle, finishes out that third outside zone. Looking real nice. I like the contact.
Yeah, when it doesn't affect it,
Yeah.
and banging doors, and it doesn't disrupt. But yeah, it's gives you a little check.
And Jeff Jones staying in it. Just like, yep, all right, let's go. Let's keep driving. That's what we're here to do. And
see in soccer, we see in basketball the flop.
yeah, not here, man.
We don't want to see it here.
Nope.
And I'm not pointing fingers, but
It's happened.
It's happened.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call.
Things happen.
Not naming any names. I want names. No, you don't. No, you definitely don't. All right, so now Brandon makes his way back again. 20 years old from Las Vegas, and Jeff Jones from Southern California. He's gonna come around. You can see all that rubber being laid down there. We call that the BOB, the Burn Out Box, brought to you by Kumho Tires. And Jeff Jones using all of it. I have to assume with that, just with this being just such a full throttle track, the temps, they're rising.
Well, I mean, we have some elevation too, and that doesn't help with cooling or horsepower. The engines are working harder. Turbos are spinning faster to make the same level of boost. So it's just much harder on the engine, and I believe it's the most elevation we see all season. So
5,000 feet.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
5,000. Yeah, and I talked to Stefan Papadakis about that. And yeah, just the efficiency, the thinness of the air, and yeah, just all that. So
that's why I'm out of breath climbing the stairs. That's the only reason.
That's it.
That's the only reason, Jared.
Yeah, you're peak performance.
Yeah, for sure. Look at
you
this.
are.
I got a bowler's body.
A temple.
Yeah.
Of a dumpster.
Yes.
Joking.
Has been this weekend. I've been off the diet, man. Those roasted pecans, I'm telling you.
Oh, the pecan. Back on the pecans, huh?
Oh, dude.
Killing me, Smalls. Pecan pie?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Baconator. The Baconator Gettins. Brandon Sorensen out front. Jeff Jones in that chase position. Let's see what we got here from Sorensen. Initiates. Good angle from, that looked like two tires off that front right. Almost overcooks it. And look at Jeff Jones. Slingshots up there. Gets a few car lengths on. Brandon dipping tires again. This is very unlike what we've seen. The trending Brandon Sorensen. Oh man, he drops the tire again. He is all over the track. The juice is loose for Brandon Sorensen. Loosey-goosey Brandon Sorensen.
Yeah, not very characteristic, especially through practice, what we've seen previously today. Just getting a little wild, getting a little crazy out there. I'm interested when we come back to this initiation exactly why he pushed out so wide. So see here, initiates, has a bit of a secondary initiation, and then just pushes wide. I don't know if he went 3 wheels off. Might have been very close. Second outside zone, not too bad. Now Jeff Jones, obviously, with Brandon taking that line, has to hesitate a little bit to get back in. Brandon dips the tire to the second outside zone. Jeff now a little bit hesitant, which rightfully so. Now Brandon almost went off again there. Was able to get the car to bite back in. A little bit of a left foot brake, get the car to rotate back around. But yeah, this might allow us to see if he ended up going 3 wheels off. Just looks like maybe he didn't light the tires up in time. So hard to tell if he did. Very, very difficult to tell there.
All right, so analyzing these runs, and I mean, they definitely repainted the lines in between 32 and 16. Let's take a look here again.
Yeah, I think this
Air
is
Force BMW.
where we want
Obviously
to see it.
2, and it looks like he's on it.
Right on it.
Like I feel like.
Do we play tennis rules?
Yeah,
tennis
rules.
Yeah, you got to be completely over the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And we saw that yesterday in Pro Spec with Nate Chen.
Right.
And again, for those not familiar, Pro Spec, basically the feeder series into Pro, 4 rounds. We crowned a champion yesterday. Tommy Lemaire from Canada gets the championship in Pro Spec. But there's James Dean watching on, him and his lady taking a look. And again, all right. And here's our BC Racing side-by-side.
Yeah, so let's see if there's any other errors maybe we missed on Jeff Jones' lead that would sway it in favor of Brandon Sorensen. So Sorensen going pretty wide there. Now Jeff kind of gets lost in the chase there. Now part of that could be the line that Brandon took. Brandon, I mean, had a phenomenal chase run, that's for sure. But that also comes down to Jeff putting out a good lead that makes it much more chaseable. So I really think Brandon's just pushing just a little bit too hard in every sector. That's it, just trying to overdrive the car a little bit. You know, he wants to be aggressive, he can be aggressive, and we know that. And in this case, it's just that, you know, it's not driving at 10, it's driving at like 8 or 9, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we've seen that from drivers, and that really is what creates a a competitor versus a champion. And,
Yeah.
we've seen that with Von Gittin Jr., even Chelsea Denova.
Chelsea Denova, yeah, great example of
Our
that.
current Formula Drift champion. Maybe we'll have some words with him as Jeff Jones gets the win, taking out Brandon Sorensen. Jeff Jones, the racer, right? Here we go, Connor Shanahan, as James is a Shanahan fan right now, and he's good friends with him. He's seen him grow up. And Odie Bakshi's applies the pressure. He changes back and goes that second outside zone. Shanahan dials in. Odie Bakshi's the field suspension. And there he is. He's grinding the door. Let's see the transition. How's he going to do? Shanahan goes in. Odie Bakshi's right there. Odie Bakshi's comes out of it a little bit. Oh, buddy.
Wow.
And this is a must-win for Odie Bakshi's. Bears repeating. This is a must-win for Odie Bakshi's, or James Dean is your 2024 Formula Drift champion.
Yeah, this is everything. This is the entire championship comes down to the decision of the judges right now and these replays. This is nuts. Now, there are very, very small critiques that could be made here, and that's what it's going to end up coming down to. So, initiation from Connor Shanahan, everything looks good. Gets right to the edge of the track, similar to Odie. Now, Odie has a phenomenal chase through first outside zone, arguably better than Connor's. Second outside zone, Odie comes in, scrubs just a touch of angle to get that proximity back, falls back into place. Amazing job through the second outside zone. Third outside zone, Odie Bakshi's once again. Now you see a very, very small correction there halfway through. That's it. That's the only mistake that you see out of this driver. Shanahan had a very small mistake in a similar spot as well. This is really, really tight here. We're splitting hairs. We're 100% splitting hairs for this battle.
What absolute mind, body, and just prowess.
Yeah.
To have the nerves of steel under this surmounting pressure for Odie Bakshi's. Again, the points-wise, if Odie loses here, James the Machine Dean is your champion. James Dean currently has, even as he continues on, 552 points. Odie Bakshi's, if he loses here, he has 434 points. So again, that is the difference of points. So that's why, again, 104-point separation between the two. So again, our judges scrutinizing, looking on. Connor Shanahan going against him, the smirk, the smile of James Dean as he glances on from the hot pits area. This is a must-win for Odie Bakshi's. Here we go, looking at the BC Racing, go for gold side by side. Again, Odie leading on the left, Shanahan leading on the right.
All right, lead runs very, very similar. I mean, Odie's got a slightly better proximity through that. Angle and line were pretty similar, second outside zone. Shanahan might be a touch deeper, but Odie got in the chase a little bit quicker. Third outside zone, and almost nothing between them. I mean, I got nothing. Jared, I got, as much as I would love to be able to pick anything or critique these drivers, it feels like a disservice even to talk about anything that was wrong with these, because these are two drivers at the absolute pinnacle of their game right now, and there's so much riding on it, it's wild.
Amy is a spotter, his wife, Amy Bakshi's is a spotter. You know, so many significant others here. Odie's kids are here. The Lithuanian people. So here we go. Odie must win. It's a one more time for one. One more time. They're going at it again, and it's unanimous. Champion, that NOS energy drink, all new. Nismo Auto Parts Z, and here comes Hiro Manoa, Juku Racing, Jerry Yang Racing vehicle, comes that first outside zone. He does exceed it just a little bit. You can see the posture here, going to that second outside zone. Forsberg jumps to the side of him. Look at the power on deck. He mimics the angle. Hiro's putting the car in the right place. Oh, Forsberg looks like he transitioned. Want to see that angle though. Again, sometimes that's not totally indicative. And look at Forsberg. He's showing him, like I said, you know, he could be his dad. Is he going to throw him over his knee and spank him, or is the young buck going to fight back, man?
Yeah, this was a great run from both drivers. So Manoa getting a big whip out there, really pushing the car out, lights up the tires just at that cone there. Now Forsberg being a little bit more hesitant in the chase. Now this is where Chris really starts to push things in. We see a bit of wavering from Manoa through the first part of that, adding a bit more angle. Chris doing what he can to mimic it, and then it's through this third outside zone where we see Chris just absolutely lock in. Right here, good spot in the pocket, getting back on the car a little bit, putting the rear end of that Z into that zone. So Manoa, I mean, good lead from Manoa. A couple of spots that he can clean it up a little bit. Shoots off just a touch, one tire out to that first outside zone. second outside zone, just a bit of wavering, nothing too crazy. And you can almost see more of it in Chris, because Chris has to react to some of the wavering that you're seeing in Manoa, and it exaggerates a little bit more in the chase car. But look at Chris here, taking the notes from the judges, understanding the assignment, doing exactly what's asked of him. You know, get into the side of him, make sure you're also in that zone, lock it in and hold it.
Odie's got to be watching, what can I do better against Shanahan? He's got the iPad out. Sometimes he's got the phone. This is like, all right, I
need to see all of it.
I need to see all of it. I need to go big screen. I'm surprised he doesn't have a 4K TV in there just to really analyze, scrutinize, judging himself and seeing where maybe there's a window of opportunity to really surge and maybe attack Shanahan. But I really honestly don't know how he could better his lead run. I mean, that was on every edge of the course, maybe the transitions, just to really give it that X factor. Here we go, the second half of this battle. Here we go, Chris Forsberg, Hiro Manoa from Japan. Tip to tail, Hiro Manoa drops in. Forsberg uses all of the course. Talking about the edge of the course, that first outside zone transitions into outside zone 2. Here goes Forsberg. Manoa, he's back there a little bit. Here goes Forsberg. The GT radial goes around. Here coming to that last outside zone. He keeps it between the lines. Forsberg dialing it in right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Hiro does come up on that last outside zone, but that second outside zone, TBD.
Yeah, there was just a small mistake that Hiro Manoa made coming out of the first outside zone into the second, and I think that's what caused him to kind of lose a bit of that proximity and then had to make up for it, where we didn't see that with Chris Forsberg. Chris played this very smart, but let's watch the replay once again so we can see. So Chris, very similar initiation to Manoa with that feint, doesn't put that wheel off. Now Manoa does a good job through the first outside zone, does pull out a bunch of angle, and doesn't, basically when Chris goes to transition out, Manoa doesn't predict it in time, has to back out a fair bit, and then takes him a little bit to get back in. Now, Manoa doesn't have the same proximity through the second outside zone, but does have a good line through the third. Hiro basically has to cut that line and then starts to supersede Chris. So once again, we want that chase driver to be mimicking the lead driver. Proximity is great, but you still have to mimic them as well. So cutting some of those lines, not always the best way to do it, but that transition right there is kind of what created Manoa a bit of a discrepancy in his chase.
Yeah,
for Manoa.
an opportunity to respect your elders.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, Chris is taking notes. He's understanding. He's asking a lot of questions now, and really trying to understand what the assignment is from the judges. And he's learned, and he's putting it into practice now.
Yeah, he's been pretty vocal online, and you know, just is, you know, scrutinizing the calls, asking the right questions, and like you said, he's always done that. But he's like, I normally don't go up there, but now as of recent, just really getting clarification on what's going on. You know, just every year we evolve. There's addendums to rules as we take a look at our side-by-side. Hiro leading on the left and Forsberg, Chris on the right.
So yeah, first outside zone, it looks like Manoa went slightly deeper, but has a better chase. Transitioning into 2, you can see, I mean, lead-wise, they're fairly similar, but it took a little bit longer for Manoa to get into that proximity. Transitioning into our third one, let's just see. Manoa looks pretty good. Chris looking good too. Chris back in the zone. I mean, in the chase-wise, I would say Chris had a bit better of a line, whereas Manoa had more proximity in the chase to the third outside zone. So really, for me, it was the transition between 1 and 2 that choked up Manoa. Chris did a slightly better job of predicting that, allowing him to have a bit more of an active chase.
Yeah, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. So here we go, slide him left for Hiro Manoa, right for Chris Forsberg, the 3-time champion, gets the win. Chris Forsberg gets the win, taking out Hiro Manoa. Again, back-to-backs, a lot of pressure, a lot at stake, and keep in mind, if you're just tuning in, this is a one-more-time battle. Odie drove absolutely master class. He put on a clinic, but Connor Shanahan, the shadow was right there. Here we go, Odie Bakshi's a must-win for him, or James Dean is your 2024 Formula Trim champion. All right, Odie Bakshi's back at it like a track addict into that second outside zone. Connor Shanahan right there, takes a little bit of angle out of it. Odie Bakshi's the pride of Lithuania. Now in Southern California, field suspension boss. He's right there once again like a broken record. Just a surgeon. He is not a doctor, but his scalpel are his tires. Unbelievable. And Shanahan was right there too.
Yeah.
Took a little out of it, but let's get that overhead shot. The truth serum, what's gonna tell us? And Odie Bakshi's again must win as James Dean looks on.
Yeah, there is just almost nothing to critique in these runs anymore. They're just getting better and better. Every time we think that there's perfection here, these drivers are both stepping up. So Odie, very similar initiation that he had before. Very similar run that he had before. Didn't get quite to the edge there is actually being slightly more conservative. And I'm talking about the difference in about 4 inches. And that's it. Now look at Connor Shanahan really pushing through that second outside zone. Doing a good job to mirror. Allows Odie to get a bit of a gap so he can catch that transition. Now, only thing is Connor didn't get all the way out there through that zone. That's it. There's about a 1 foot difference. We are now at the point with these drivers where we're going to be calculating
feet, inches.
That's it. That's it. That's all we can do at this point. Or else we're literally going to be here all night doing one more time.
And you know, Shanahan, again, no rookie, even though he's Formula Drift rookie here in our championship, no slouch.
No.
And see that, I mean, that's just feet. That's tire tread blocks.
It's
you know,
crazy.
I mean, it's insane on the precision of both these drivers. You know, at this point, you're beating yourself. You know, if Odie loses here, again, James Dean is your champion. James Dean, an Irishman. Connor Shanahan, Irishman. James Dean has, I believe he held him as a baby.
Probably.
No, he has.
He might have delivered him. We have no idea.
He didn't get birthed. But, you know, it shows you how powerful the, you know, the Irish drift community is. And again, it's a must-win for Odie. He's chasing down a very talented Connor Shanahan. He got a win earlier this year at round 3. Can Connor Shanahan take down Odie Bakshis and solidify it? James Dean as our 24 Formula Drift champion. Connor Shanahan goes into the outside zone. There he is once again. Odie Bakshis in the pocket. Shanahan goes that second outside zone. Odie Bakshis once again right there. Look at that left foot brake. Odie risking it for the biscuit. Banging doors. Oh, doctor. Going to that last outside zone. Here goes Odie Bakshis. Comes in on the inside. Shanahan right there on the outside. Banging doors once again. Holy cow. Are you kidding me? Rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
This is Type S elevated, and we are elevating here in Utah in more ways than one.
Oh my
Holy
God.
cow.
Look at that. James Dean knows how difficult. Look at, round of applause here for both of these drivers, because this is absolutely absurd how good the driving is here today and how aggressive it is getting. So let's take a look here. Connor Shanahan, good initiation, gets in really early. Now starts to push a little bit harder as he comes to that first outside zone. Odie Bakshis leaves nothing on the table through that transition. Now Odie getting into the pocket, holding really well to that second outside zone. Surges just a little bit on Connor Shanahan now through the third outside zone. Odie Bakshis a little bit more shallow, but really, really pushing. Hits Connor Shanahan across the line. So, wow, absolutely wild. First outside zone there for Connor. I mean, he's right on the tape all the way around there. And then here through this section, I mean, Connor could have been slightly deeper, but Odie Bakshis could not be closer to Connor Shanahan. We get a little bit of contact right there. Now we swap into the third outside zone. This is where Odie Bakshis once again just pushing and pushing to get as close as he possibly can to that Red Bull livery. There's nothing between them.
Grinding him, I mean, absolutely insane. This is a mosh pit, and these guys are punk rock, baby. Unbelievable. So, wow. So again, it bears repeating. It's a must-win for Odie Bakshis. If he loses and Shanahan gets the victory, James Dean, that man right there, is your 2024 Formula Drift champion. The first ever 4-time Formula Drift champion. He took a hiatus during COVID. He won back-to-back-to-back 3 times in a row in a different vehicle. Von Gittin Jr., the RTR owner, called up James Dean. Here it is, the BC Racing Go for Gold side by side. We're splitting hairs on hairs on. Dude, this is insane.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to the first outside zone. I will say that Odie had a bit more proximity through that section. Second outside zone, both drivers are very close. Now Connor, a little bit deeper in that zone, but Odie picks that same spot up. Now there's a bit of separation from Connor in the chase, whereas Odie more or less hit him in that part. Third outside zone, looks like Connor had a bit better of a line in the chase, but Odie had a bit more proximity. We're basically trading blows back and forth as to what this is. Right now, every spotter up in this booth is holding their breath watching this. There's smiles. We're witnessing some of the greatest driving and drifting history right now. This is absurd.
This is absolutely on another level. You know, we've never had a championship decided with still 1 round remaining.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, here we go. This is a must-win for Odie Bakshis, and Odie Bakshis gets the win. The champion. This is Kazuya Taguchi versus Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Osbo.
Oh, the breeze coming in, Jared.
Yeah,
I needed that. I'm overheating.
Yeah.
I'm
these
stressed
cars.
for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So Kazuya Taguchi, Frederick Osbo, Kazuya in that yellow vehicle, the ISR Performance, Jerry Yang Racing, 86, and Frederick Osbo in that Toyota Rockstar Energy Drink GR Supra. That first outside zone, the bumpers flapping in the wind in the second outside zone. Look at Frederick Osbo, lunge forward, whoa! Oh, because it looked like it was going off, but actually Kazuya dove on the inside. Gonna need to see that overhead to really see what went down in all of that smoke. All right, the GT radial smoke in the face of Frederick Osbo. Want to see that overhead shot. And what went down in the second outside zone? It looked like Freddie was going to go off, but I think Kazuya went on the inside, and then Freddie went on the inside, so they kind of alternated positions. Yeah,
it basically looked like Kazuya scrubbed up a little bit there, but let's take a look. Kazuya going real wide for that. Able to hold on to it, just tipping one tire. This is the part we were talking about, second outside zone. Kazuya having to add a bit more in, gets on the throttle, and yeah, it just looks like he scrubbed out a bunch of angle now. Freddie, I mean, could have just lost all of it there in the chase, but was able to keep things going. Super, I mean, talking to multiple-time champion, that's the kind of move that a multi-time champ pulls in order to keep the car on the track. But looks like Kazuya one wheel off to that first outside zone. Second outside zone, you can just see how aggressive he is. And it looks like the car basically understeers through that. He just plows through it, where the front end just did not bite in to keep that angle going through, and Freddie able to adapt to it pretty quickly and then keep the proximity through the rest of the run. So just a small understeer issue, it seems, for Kazuya partway through when he got back on the throttle. And yeah, same thing, Frederick Osbo, able to figure it out, able to adapt and overcome. We'll swap them back around and see how this goes now with Freddie out front.
Yeah, Frederick Osbo, you know, he's just got this machinish style, you know, just, again, we talk about James, and we call him the Machine Dean, but he's just like a robot, man. He places the car, one of the best best chase drivers in the game, excuse me. And this is how the bracket is shaping up. Here is our grade 8 brought to you by Torque Motorsport, as Dylan Hughes and James Dean move on, Jeff Jones and Odie Bakshis, and then Forsberg. Yeah, dude, let's give the fans what they want. Yeah. Let's get Dean and Odie in the Final Four, and they seal their own fate. Take it out, and it's like over the top. Turn the hat around and break his wrist like an arm wrestling match. Or Odie Bakshis fights back and earns it to go to Irwindale for the championship. That would be insane.
Jeff Jones and Dylan Hughes are going to have something to say about that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well said. Frederick Osbo will lead. Kazuya Taguchi giving chase. So Freddie in the Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota GR Supra. He's got the sugar-free livery. And then Kazuya Taguchi in the 86. Here we go. Coming down the chute, let's see this initiation by Frederick Osbo. Freddie, the Norwegian Hammer, comes in that first outside zone. Kazuya Taguchi a bit on the inside. Let's see how they manage Kazuya now. He jumps forward, he slingshots, he bullfrogs, he jumps up, he squats. He's coming up short now. Freddie using all the course, gets to that razor's edge, and Kazuya Taguchi once again on the inside cannot dig deep like Frederick Osbo. And Kazuya, like you saw, again, Freddie getting all the way out there, deep in that lead run, and Kazuya just could not slide it back.
Yeah, Kazuya's got a ton of forward bite in that car. I mean, it looks like it's going to rocket ship. It just doesn't seem to be able to get it under control. Now, Frederick Osbo, very smooth initiation, getting into that first outside zone early. Kazuya right now holding back the car just a little bit and then starts to dive in. And then right here, Freddie throws on the jets and starts to walk away again as Kazuya not able to check up in time. Now, through this transition, once again, Kazuya pushes in, but Frederick Osbo able to get on this beautiful line, this beautiful arc through that third outside zone, keeping the smoke rolling. And yeah, we're back to this very precise, very smooth Frederick Osbo. I mean, he's been getting more and more aggressive as the years have gone by, but this is what won him multiple championships. This very, I mean, I didn't even notice that. Kazuya get a little bit of a wheel tap there on Frederick Osbo as a transition into the second outside zone. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I would maybe take a look at is how long it took for Freddie to really light off in some of these zones. But ultimately, he did float it out, and it looked pretty good. So,
all right, the judges analyzing this battle here. Again, the winner advancing on to our Great 8. Right now, we are knee-deep in our Royal Purple Top 16. If we have a verdict here, 2 more battles after this. Slide of left for Taguchi, or right for the 3-time champion, Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Osbo, and the Rockstar Energy. Still back-to-back the one more times and then coming out on top?
I mean, I was confused with the one more time.
Ooh.
I thought he won the
shots
first
being
one.
fired.
You
All
know.
right, well, here we go. Adam LZ, one of the most popular drivers out there. So Chelsea layout, and then you can recount what goes down. Adam LZ, Jonathan Hurst, Adam LZ in that Drift HQ. BMW transitioning now into that first outside zone. Here goes Adam LZ. Oh, buddy, that's a 3, that's a 4 maybe. And that is not all she wrote totally, but Adam LZ, that's going to be an incomplete. Comes in way too hot in his Drift HQ BMW. And he looks like he's driving angry right now. And that's a mad Adam LZ right there. What do you make of this track? It's a little different from last year. You know, some people are saying it's a little bit difficult to see, the dust, the sun, all that. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that I think at a quick glance looks like it's easy, but it's one of the most complex because it doesn't really flow as well as you'd think, and it requires a driver that can really be paying attention to the inches instead of the feet. Obviously, you see Adam going off here in turn 1, and we're thinking like, okay, overdrove it, did some things. The track probably got hotter, a little looser, didn't give him the car that he thought he had, and after a break like we just had, jumping in the car to drive, if you're not centered with yourself, this is the kind of things that happen.
And you and Adam go back quite some time, you know, BC Racing, suspension setup. Now you're practically neighbors in Florida, and you know, and again, even though you retired from Formula Drift, you were definitely a busy man. The Drift Porsche, you got a lot of things going on. Even as of recent, Ryan Turk picked up the phone and said, hey, can you help me with some things and just some suspension setup and some consulting as well?
Yeah, for sure. Just trying to connect people with their cars and give them the best odds to win. So that way when they leave the line, it's in their hands and they have the best odds.
You're like a car therapist.
Yeah, right. Just aligning the chakra of it, you know.
The chakra.
Yeah, exactly.
Chakras.
He knows.
There we go.
I didn't want to plug too hard.
Oh, it's okay. Again, they're the official suspension of Formula Drift, so
Of course,
I asked if I could wear the hat, and then it coordinated. So Adam LZ obviously at a deficit. He overcooks it. You know, Jonathan Hurst goes inside of him, but again, Adam LZ, that was definitive. He goes off. That's going to be incomplete. Jonathan Hurst, he basically just needs to keep it where the rubber meets the road. How much stress does Jonathan Hurst have at this point, or do you think he's calm?
I would think he'd be calm, except at this track that is so difficult to stay on the track because of the visibility and some things you said earlier and the speed and the grip of the cars. So if you underdrive them, it's a problem. If you overdrive it, it's a problem. So he needs to find that balance right now. And we're going to see a chase from Adam that is the most aggressive thing we've seen today, probably. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, you saw kind of angry Adam there when he goes off, and Jonathan did get inside of him, but not his fault. Here we go, the Mr. Cool Cadillac. Jonathan Hurst, the pride of Paducah, keeps it within that first outside zone, transitions now into that second outside zone. Oh, here comes Adam, you talked about it, and here he comes, and he comes out swinging and almost gets into the side of Jonathan Hurst, and Breezy's might be popped open earlier. Oh, and Adam goes off. Oh.
This is what we're talking about with the under and overdrive, right? So Hurst did a good job of balancing that and doing what he needed to do. Obviously, Adam had a deficit, overdrove it. That's what happens when you overdrive it.
Yeah, overdriving the car, not once, but even twice in the chase position. Hurst, he literally lived up to his sponsor. He was Mr. Cool.
Mr. Cool.
And yeah, so you can see that.
Yeah, decent zone fill, crossover, transition, not taking any risk, kind of putting the car where it's supposed to be without risk, right? So that's the thing a lot with drifting. The risk is what's tricky. How much do you want to risk it? Little tire drop there and going into outer zone 3, but overall pretty solid. And then obviously Adam pushes right off. Probably got caught in the smoke a little bit there. His visibility's tough. Just kind of pushing to do anything he can to put some heat on Hurst. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it works.
Like I said, you've been a busy man. That Porsche getting a lot of notoriety.
Yeah.
What else you cooking?
Just having fun with drifting, kind of being able to see it from the outside. You know, that's a big thing for me. Just paying attention to what's happening, seeing ways I can help grow and improve drifting, bring some new people in, and like I love drifting, and I just wanted to keep growing forever.
And obviously last year you win in the Pennzoil Ford Mustang. Pretty cool for Ford, you know, maybe going back to back here in the championships behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang. You know, James Dean, how crazy is that? What a crazy season watching that as a spectator.
Dude.
What do you think?
I mean, I knew he had it in him for sure. Those cars take some time to get used to. He's figured it out, and he's a weapon in that thing.
Oof.
And they have their advantages with things once you learn them, and being able to, you know, hopefully put a Mustang on top again is a big, big thing.
congratulations on your championship trophy of the Ford truck. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Here it is officially. Jonathan Hurst gets the win, knocking out Adam LZ. He's going to grab a breezy now and crush some of those non-carbonated alcoholic drink.
Balance for sure, and sometimes you got to balance like what you want and what you want out of drifting versus what needs to be, you know. And I think he's been trying to find that, and I'm excited to see this battle.
Yeah, I mean he was a real contender for the championship, you know, during the silly season before it started, but we'll see how he does here. He's got to advance on, but Trent Beecham's going to try to put a stop to that. Here we go, that Clonex next to tires, BMW, Matt Field, the Heat Wave, visual, Borla exhaust, Lead Customs, Corvette. That second outside zone, there goes Trent Beecham. You see, again, Field kind of surging back and forth. Beecham, he's looking a little more settled in that lead position. Now transition that last out one. Beecham using all of the course. Look at Beecham, he's on a tear.
Wow.
Matt Field diving in on the inside.
Wow.
That was a great lead run by Beecham, and you saw Field kind of surging back and forth, but he did have that proximity. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a phenomenal run. I mean, really like 95% of that was everywhere it needed to be. If you look at Outer Zone 1 here, he's a little late to get into it, but does actually get into the zone, leaving it, setting him up for 2 pretty well, running that wide line and crossing over. Matt in the Corvette dives in, does what he needs to do, makes a couple little corrections there, though, trying to stay on the door, get in that pocket. He does. In this last turn, this chase through there, obviously a very good lead to do it, and all the way to the 3/4 mark, he was pretty much in the chase in the perfect position. So a little shaky on one, but, you know, the way he needed to get through there was a big advantage for him, I think.
What do you think now? I mean, Matt Field's shown he has the horsepower to kind of surge, and you know you can see him going back and forth. That's telling sign that he's got the horsepower. So you know, here we go with, you know, obviously both LS, but Field, he's got amazing forward grip, side by. I mean, he's at angle and just burns them.
Yeah, the balance of the car looks pretty good. It's a little skew in Outer Zone 2 and making some corrections here and there, but yeah, the really good lead run to follow, which actually helps a lot, and I think that the judges are weighing that quite a bit.
All right, so here we go, the second half of this battle. Chelsea, thank you so much for chiming in here. We'll finish this, get the verdict, and we'll bid you adieu. But thanks for joining us up here in the booth. It's always a pleasure. So
yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
All right, so here we go. Matt Field out front. Again, the Borla exhaust, Heatwave Visual Lean Customs GT Radial Corvette out front. The Beasts are in the bay. The Forged Stars wrapped in those GT Radial tires. And here we go with the Clonex next to tires. BMW chasing him down. How's Matt Field gonna do out front with that clean air through that start chicane? Our final battle of our top 16. Who's advancing on and who is going against Jonathan Hurst? Here we go. Matt Field, correction there, but look at Trent Beecham drops right into formation, and there's that horsepower. You see him. Oh, but Beecham says, all right, I got it too. In that second outside zone, look at the angle from Matt Field. A lot more settled with that clean air out front. Transition now in the last outside zone.
Oh, no.
Oh, buddy. Matt Field almost overcooks it. He brings it back, and look at Beecham. Wow, and again here, that was sketch.
That was sketchy. I'd like to see the replay on that for sure.
And just all the angles, right? There we are with Justin Smash, but that overhead, this is going to be telling on that last outside zone.
Yeah, Matt, so he gets it in, has a little bit of a waiver here in Outer Zone. Doesn't quite get into later, similar to how Beecham was. Beecham is there using it, has a slower transition there, but dives into the pocket. Matt has a really good Outer Zone 2, almost no angle change, right? That also allows Beecham to be confident on the transition, but look at Matt, possible 2 tires off. I don't know if I'm the one who's supposed to be saying that, but it's a thing. You know, you got to pay attention. Beecham unfazed, puts the car where it needs to be in the chase through there. So
and that could have been a lot uglier on that last outside zone 3 if he went it kept those 2 tires off and got into the dirt. One, the dirt, but then also that could grab you and just absolutely deep your tire.
Absolutely. He was using all of the track and some of what shouldn't have been.
Right. Use that runoff very sparingly. So watch right here.
Yeah, and it's tricky. It's a lot of it is that transition timing, right? We're talking about 6 inches of difference will give you 3 feet too wide here. So always kind of erring on the side of safety to get out to that zone. He took the risk to get out there and fill it better than Beecham did, but that's tough to do.
All right, so there we are seeing the 2 cars parked. Chelsea, again, great words of advice. Again, you are the current Formula Drift champion. Obviously, it could be decided here in Utah. I'll let you kind of relax or not because you said this is a little bit stressful. But we're looking at the, side by side. What do you see?
BC Racing side by side here. It's an interesting battle. So if we look now that Matt didn't quite fill Outer Zone 1, that's an interesting one in the chase. Both drivers are filling Outer Zone 2 pretty smooth. Some proximity is better from Matt, but at the case of some wavering here, again, better proximity from Matt in the last turn, but some of Beecham's distance between the two cars might be because of Matt going wide and showing that he may have gone off track there.
You have a glow about you over here.
Get closer to
yeah,
you.
two or three tires off. That's kind of looking at that angle too. Definitely 2 on that last outside zone 3. Saw a little bit of dirt being obviously thrown up here. But this is our last battle of the top 16. We have 7 drivers in. One of these drivers will be going against Jonathan Hurst. Let's see if we have a verdict here. Slide up left for Beecham. Right for Matt Field. It looks like Trenton Beecham gets the win, and it is, not unanimous.
One more time,
Robin
Robbie.
Nishida says one more time, but Beecham knocks out Drift 2, the official drifting game of Formula Drift. First battle of our Grade 8, James Dean, Dylan Hughes. James, he needs to continue on. But again, he's cool. Dylan Hughes wants to take him out. He wants a victory here this year. He wants to get on the box. James Dean puts it right in that first outside zone. Now transitioning to the second outside zone. There goes James. Dylan Hughes James goes tires off. Throws up the gravel. That throws off Dylan Hughes quite a bit. As maybe, to be honest, and there it is, like we said, as he is the machine, sometimes needs a little bit of oil, right? Just like that really grinds his gear sometimes.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic move from James Dean there. Just pushing a little bit too hard through the second outside zone and getting those wheels off. So as we go back to our airforce.com replay, let's take a look. So James Dean, initiation looks good right on those rumble strips, get back on power super early now. Dylan Hughes having to do what he can to stay in the pocket and catch up. And right here, James Dean just pushing just a little bit wide. Looks like one wheel. Dylan Hughes able to check up a little bit to make sure he doesn't plow into the side of that RTR. Great transition from both drivers, with James Dean pushing hard to the third outside zone, and then Dylan Hughes able to catch up, fill in that nice tandem spot to the rest of that zone. But yeah, there didn't seem like anything major from James Dean, just a very small miscalculation, goes one wheel off and shoots up that dirt cloud. And it looks like I'm hearing there might be a 5-minute call.
No.
Oh, okay,
not
sorry.
at all. No, it was a miscommunication.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I was like, well, I'm like, already? Jeez.
No, not at all. So he just said 5 minutes.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so as we are looking at the airforce.com instant replay, both gentlemen will head back to the start line. There is James, the Machine Dean, and Chelsea Denofa talked about, he knew he had it in him, take a year to get the car dialed, and obviously James, is he still leading the Drift Masters Championship? I mean, he could win 2 championships overall in a season. That would be absolutely insane, and that'd be GOAT status, baby. Here we go, but Dylan Hughes, the dozer who goes 202 miles per hour on the Permatex motorcycle, wants to take down the 3-time champ. Here we go, James Dean, and again, Odie Box is saying, go, Dylan, go. As he goes in that second outside zone. Whoa, look at this. So Dylan Hughes, James Dean gets to the door, he spins out, and some contact was made. James Dean, this gets interesting. I don't want to assume that James was a little too aggressive. I want to look at this transition going into outside zone 2. Dylan the Dozer Hughes. Looks like he heads back. James Dean, this is the second run, contact made. So again, James, this isn't necessarily a must win for the championship, obviously for this round, but again, a substantial point difference for the championship. James had 104 coming into this round.
Yeah, so obviously the contact's what we need to focus on, but is there anything that happened previous to that? It doesn't look like it. James in a good spot. Dylan now transitioning out. Looks like he might be a touch late getting on throttle. I mean, there is a small decel between 1 and 2, but is Dylan outside of where that decel should be? Now, James had a pretty decent closing speed coming out of this. So look, that's really, really hard to say. So I know the judges are gonna be asking for pretty much every replay that we can find. You can see James definitely has a decent closing speed there, is trying to slow the car down. But yeah, should Dylan Hughes be back on throttle at that point is kind of what the question's gonna end up being.
And here, yeah, there's that decel area. You can see that transition going from 1 to 2, that small red line there. And as you said, Jacob, there is that decel, but it's very minimal. It's basically in the transition, you're gonna have a natural, mechanical traction, right? Where it's gonna slow you down. that mechanical grip, right?
Yeah, so everything, once again, looks good here. I mean, based on that decel, realistically, Dylan can do it about there, which he does, but then doesn't really get back on throttle till he's already partway through the zone. So there are drivers that do float out that way. I mean, decel is such an interesting word. I mean, you can definitely float the car out that way, but you shouldn't be slowing the car down at that point. So really what we can look for are things like the decel lights, which can be very hard to see in the direct light. Is Dylan lighting the tires off at that point? It doesn't seem like it. It looks like he starts to, but at that point, James is kind of already into the side of him. So the judges really need to work on who is getting fault, obviously, and that's what will end up dictating the way this battle goes.
And also, you know, two very different car setups. You know, here's the BMW of Dylan Hughes. Here's that you need to be on throttle with those Ford Mustangs, or they'll snap back. I mean, we know how, you know, volatile those cars can be when you're on throttle. But that smoke line as well, you know. And again, that's not absolutely the criteria, but it's obviously an indicator of, you know, getting that wheel speed up, getting the tire smoke going. And you can see James hammering down and on it. Dylan Hughes, maybe, like you say, floating out there. Maybe he was going into the dirt and going off course, so he lifted to maybe salvage it. But with James, again, perfect storm. That's what I always say. So, again, if this goes to Hughes, and again, basically it confirms the lack of throttle was basically the main verdict here. Here are the points standing. So, again, it's not so much a must-win for James Dean, it's a must-win for Odi Bakshish. If James goes out here and Odi goes out here in the Great 8, James Dean is your champion. So this is, again, how the points stack up coming into this round of competition. 104-point separation, 100 points to win, 80 so on and so forth, and we'll get to that.
And you know, James Dean is obviously very frustrated. You could see it by, you know, his demeanor in driving as he wrapped up the end of that lap. So these are the small mistakes. I mean, he's being very, very aggressive. Once again, the question becomes, you know, was Dylan decelling in a part he shouldn't be? Should James have predicted that, or, you know, been able to adapt to what the lead car is driving, which is also something the chase car needs to do. Both things are in the rule book, so it becomes maybe not an interpretation, but we just really need to understand.
Yeah, let's listen to the camera. So listen to the exhaust note and the throttle. So I'll lay out. Yeah, and then watch James, as you say, like a little like, just come on. You know, James, he can't go anywhere, you know, and again, he's on throttle. You know, I don't want to say he, you know, I'm not going to say anything.
James is being aggressive, that's for sure.
Here we go. James Dean, Dylan Hughes. Is James Dean still alive? And yes, he is. James Dean gets the victory. So, again, this really does confirm. I would love, Rob, it's a must-win for Odi Bakshish. Otherwise, if Odi loses here against Jeff Jones, James Dean is your 2024 Formula Drift champion. Jeff Jones, Odi Bakshish. Here we go. Jeff Jones will lead Odi Bakshish, giving chase. Here comes Jeff Jones, the evil Nissan 370Z. Odi Bakshish in zone, kind of dives in. You saw him kind of attack Jeff Jones. Now transitioning into the second outside zone. Jeff Jones digs deep in that second outside zone. Now coming in that last outside zone. Odi Bakshish kind of taking a shallower line and now dives in on the third. And Odi Bakshish, you can see, lunging back and forth. And again, it seems that, you know, Odi was going and then had to back off, and it seemed just like he was just disrupted.
Yeah, I mean, it really, you know, to make a good chase, you need a good lead. So obviously I want to focus on what Jeff was doing out front, and did he give Odi an opportunity to really get into the pocket and keep stable. So initiation, not too bad from Jeff. It seemed like he got on throttle a little bit late there. Through this part, not too bad. You see a bit of wavering from Jeff though, and Odi kind of playing it back, and then dives in pretty aggressively there. Well, Jeff's under a good line through outside zone 3. Could be a little bit deeper. We do see that wavering back and forth, some corrections. Can always take a look at the front wheels, the lead car, to see what they're doing. But yeah, sorry, just not perfect from Odi Bakshish.
No, it was not. You know, just coming off of 2 heater runs from Connor Shanahan. I mean, those were absolute fire. And you know, Jeff Jones, you know, I'm sure Odi knew, you know, and his spotter Amy, she's on it. I mean, she's one spotter of the year. She knows what to do, and you know, So I'm sure you look at the scenarios and looking how the other drivers are driving, not just the next one, but 2 away.
Right.
Or how James is driving, you know, because say he gets the win, he's going against James. You kind of want to watch that. So there we are, taking a look at the RTR pits. There's Ben Hobson, his RTR teammates. There's James Dean. So James is already in. It's a must win for Odi Bakshi's. A must win. He is now out front. Jeff Jones will chase him down. And again, here we are. So again, if it ends right now, James Dean will have 552 points, Odi with 448. That's a 104-point difference, and that will hold, and James Dean will be your 2024 Formula Drift champion. A must-win for the field suspension S14.9 of Odi Bakshi's. Here in Utah, will James Dean be a champion? Will Odi get the win? He goes across the nose of Jeff Jones. Odi Bakshi's in that first outside zone. He gets right to the head of the course. Now transition outside zone 2. A little bit of wavering here. Good angle there from Odi Bakshi's. And this is what we saw from him out front. Jeff Jones back there quite a bit. Odi Bakshi's puts it in. Jeff Jones puts 2 tires off. Not part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I want to highlight here is the separation. That showed you that Odi had a lot of horsepower. So for him to harness those horses in the chase position, that really showed you that, come on, bud, come on. And that's why he was surging back and forth in the chase, because now you see it, how just dominant he was out front. And he did exactly what we just saw from him and Connor, not once, but twice, and now 3rd time.
Yeah, Odi's got that car wicked up pretty heavily right now. And you can see Jeff almost impedes on the initiation there. The lead car does have the right of the way. So you can see Odi takes a second there to get back on throttle, but once he lays that GT rubber down, he is gone, and Jeff Jones really doesn't have much of an answer. Second outside zone, once again, Odi Bakshi's doing a great job filling the entire thing, and Jeff kind of just left in the smoke as Odi Bakshi's just absolutely pushes through the rest of this run. And yeah, right off the bat here, I mean, like I said, the lead car has the right of way. Jeff has to give room.
Yeah.
So technically Jeff could be hit with impeding on that, but I really don't think it matters for the rest of this run. Odi was able to get it sorted.
You know, and here we are, great points. And again, just all those different perspectives. Did not see that. You get the smash cam, the FPV, or you get the static, the Mavic there from Mr. Jesse. And, you know, again, just going back to that. So this is a must-win for Odi Bakshi's to keep the hopes alive. Guess what? If he goes on to the Final Four, him and James Dean do battle to must-win for Odi Bakshi's for championship contention, and he gets the win. Oh, it totally took you out. Here we go. Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Osbo, the Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota GR Supra initiates. Chris Forsberg into Osbo using all the course. Watch his transition, the rocket, the slingshot by both of them. Look at Freddie. Actually, Forsberg gave him some room, bounces back, jumps forward. Oh, Forsberg taking an inside line. Let's see how they handle this last outside zone. Drops into formation. Osbo in, Forsberg right there. Brings it across the finish line. Masterclass, well done. Some mistakes kind of on either side. You saw Forsberg giving a little bit of line, and then he brought him back in. He says, come here, like Mortal Kombat. Let's take a look. Here we are thrashing on James' car. Right? That's Dean's machine.
Yeah, getting ready for battle here. So Frederick Osbo taking a nice wide approach, getting that slingshot into initiation. He locks it into that first outside zone. Chris not doing too bad of a job. You can see Osbo pulls some angle out and adds the speed. Second outside zone. Now Chris falls into formation, but then kind of shoots himself back out, not able to match the angle. But Osbo looking very stable, almost no corrections all the way through, even through the third outside zone. Now Forsberg bathing in smoke a little bit and then reels him in to get that proximity back. So really, really interesting driving from both. Chris being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more darty, but Osbo very stable through this whole thing. Really like to see how Osbo, who has been getting a little bit more aggressive over the last couple years, now reverting back to this, you know, what they called the robot because of how perfect his runs were. That's what we're starting to see here, whereas Forsberg being aggressive, trying to push the pace a little bit, maybe see if he can choke up Osbo, get him to make a rare mistake out in the lead.
Right, force that error
in
that chase position, kind of stress him out, maybe grind his gears, being that robot. But the force, we'll see. As we can see, Forsberg and Osbo, James and Odi in the Final Four are a great 8. The plot thickens, the story unfolds. Forsberg would love to get on the box, get on the podium. Forsberg in that NOS energy drink, Nismo parts, all new Nissan Z. He's on GT radial tires. All right, out front. Chris Forsberg through that start chicane. Let's see the mile per hour go up. The accelerometer, a little bit of decel there, going to that first outside zone, riding right on that edge, and now coming into that second outside zone. Very similar tit for tat. Forsberg flirting with the edge of the track. He's off. So he goes, throws up a little bit of dirt here, transitions in that last outside zone. Forsberg right there. Now he's on that course edge. Osbo, there he is right there. So a great battle by both these gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of mistakes once again. So, you know, we're not talking anything too major at this point. I mean, we're seeing how much each driver is pushing. We've got the sun setting. There's a lot of track conditions that are changing. And as Hurst alluded to earlier, this is not easy on the car. So Forsberg dipping one wheel out on that first outside zone. Now Freddie a little bit further back as Chris falls into a really good formation there. He gets a bit deep, dipping one wheel again. But Freddie wavering a little bit in the chase. Now through this transition, Freddie kind of comes in a bit more shallow and then sinks into that outside zone, gets back on throttle, and really puts it into the pocket there behind Forsberg. So Chris just very aggressive. He's pushing that aggressive pace. Osbo being a little bit more calculated, but I do think it bites Osbo in, you know, a little bit here and there, where I would like to see him in the pocket a bit more. This is a good, you know, example of that, even into the second outside zone, where we would expect Frederick Osbo to kind of be in tow, mirroring or shadowing the lead car of Chris Forsberg. So not bad from either driver. I'd really like to see how their driving has progressed. Now Chris is being that bit more aggressive, but you know, Freddie, you can only play it so safe sometimes.
Yeah, and you got to think that both of them know tomfoolery, right? So
it's a whole person in there.
Yeah, advantage of being a small person working on a car. All right, waiting for the verdict here. Yeah, I knew we were going to see a side-by-side. These judges.
Yeah, they're going to need it.
Yeah, most definitely. Absolutely anticipated that. All right, take a look. Again, most recently saw Forsberg out front. Look at left, Osbo out front.
Yeah, so first outside zone, both drivers pretty similar. Chris maybe superseding that zone just a touch. Chase looks very similar now. Chris able to get in the pocket a little bit more, but comes out of it, whereas Freddie maybe not as aggressive, so might have slightly more time in the zone, in the chase. But then now we get out to the lead. Very, very similar. Both of them closing the gap through that second half. It's pretty tight there. It's, you know, just chatting with the judges on the break there. I'm like, I do not envy you guys today. But we kind of came back with, you know what, when we have driving this good, it's a joy. It's a pleasure to judge these guys and have to nitpick these small items. That's I mean, that's kind of it's hard, but it's more fun to do that than have to just sit here and figure out who was at fault for an accident.
Right. Yes, that's how it goes. So here we go, taking a look at Frederick Osbo, Chris Forsberg, and one more time, and Frederick Osbo gets the win. And Robbie, Brian Eggert, let's go to you. Dylan.
Wow, okay.
So as he got to the side of it, so the team fixed it, and that could play a major role in the battle against Odie. But right now it's Beecham out front. Jonathan Hurst in the chase position. Beecham, Hurst, he talked about how hot the car was running. Even though he's sponsored by Mr. Cool, he can't keep the car too cool. And there it goes, Trenton Beecham into that second outside zone. Now transitioning into that final outside zone. Beecham, he started shallow and then brought it in, and look at Hurst. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you saw Beecham. I mean, Beecham seems possessed. This is like a refined Beecham. Hurst looked like maybe had some mistakes here and there. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so right off the gap here, I mean, you can see how much speed that Beecham's got, and then Hurst has to initiate much later to pick up the speed. Now Hurst adds a bit too much angle to the first outside zone, has to exit early and cut back. Now Beecham into the second outside zone, things are looking good. This is where Hurst is cutting a bit more line to get back into the battle, and then catches up right at the end of the zone, but it means that he misses part of that transition. Now through the third outside zone, this is where Hurst really starts putting on the pressure, especially near the end. So Beecham out front looking stable, could be a little bit deeper through a few zones, but ultimately a nice committed run all the way through. Whereas Hurst, just his timing is not quite where it needs to be getting through some of these runs. So he's getting aggressive, he's got the speed, he's got the grip in the car. He's just not timing it in a way that's allowing him to be successful in the chase. So Beecham could be, once again, just a little bit deeper through the first half of the third outside zone. But Hurst now, a car that looks like it's super, super fast and gripped up, We're going to see what he's able to do out in the lead. If he can put that down, really lay it down, Beecham is going to have to answer and try and keep up with the speed that comes out of that Cadillac XLR.
Yeah, and this is great. Like you said, this is just reminiscent of what was Pro 2, now Pro Spec.
Yeah.
These guys have just developed their programs, developed their driving, getting out there, and here they are in the grade 8. So great to see, again, this new talent, and that seems to be a story. You know, these young guns, these up-and-coming drivers, you know, taking down the veterans. But right now, here's two young guns taking out each other. So here we go. Jonathan Hurst, Mr. Cool Cadillac XLR, initiating into that first outside zone. Big angle from him. Puts it not all the way into that first outside zone, but definitely gets in there. Trent Beecham, that allows him to get to the side of it and into that second outside zone. The way Beecham's car is set up, very settled. Now transitioning is that, oh, buddy. Let's take a look at that. I want to look at that overhead. Oh, it looks like Hurst goes off 1-2. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, just not able to keep it all together all the way through the run. I mean, there's initial signs there that Hurst was getting a bit of an advantage, but just not able to keep the car on the track. So let's see here, initiation, not too bad from Hurst, adding a bunch of angle, adding a bit more angle there too through the second half of that first outside zone. Now here you can see Hurst really battling the grip of the car. Beecham trying to do his best to stay in the pocket, but there's a bit of wavering out front from Jonathan. And then right through here, Beecham lays back quite a bit, and Hurst trying to run away, pushes really hard and shoots off track. So it's quite the scenario there. And yeah, I mean, Hurst, I'm sure, is kicking himself because it looked like he might have been able to get a win out of that if it wasn't for the fact that he just shot it off track.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunate for Hurst, but you know, stoked. Trent Beecham, 999, gets the win. Irwindale. If James Dean wins, he is your 2024 Formula Drift champion. Odie Bakshis, James Dean leaving the start line. The championship is up for grabs, and it's between these two gentlemen. Odie Bakshis, let's send it! James Dean comes in, chasing him down to that first outside zone. Now transitioning into the second outside zone. Odie Bakshis, good composure. James Dean right there, maybe giving a little bit of inch. And here comes Odie Bakshis in that second outside zone, transitioning into that final outside zone. James Dean, he wants it. He goes into the dirt. He drops tire. Odie Bakshis keeps the composure, the field suspension, keeping him rock solid. Odie Bakshis holding the fate, pushing it to Irwindale. It's championship or push.
You're gonna have to remind me to breathe through this because I held my breath that entire run. I mean, both drivers super aggressive. We see it with the dirt drop with James Dean. Odie Bakshis, even in initiation, just trying to push even harder every single lap. As we take a look at the RTR team, who is also guaranteed holding their breath right now. Oh, all right, let's take a look and see what we can pull from this run. So Odie Bakshis going nice and wide. James Dean mirroring him at initiation. Odie gets into that zone super early, rides the edge of the first outside zone. James Dean just waiting. Odie Bakshis floats it out to that second outside zone, gets back on throttle. James Dean right there in the pocket, in the zone, mirroring Odie Bakshis the entire way through that second outside zone, third outside zone. Now Odie Bakshis pushing real hard. James Dean getting there and just dives at the very last second, but both drivers almost completely perfect through that entire run. I mean, there's almost nothing to critique here anymore. I don't even want to.
Yeah,
I don't need to.
Look at outside zone 2. Outside zone 3, James does make that tire drop. Watch this. So again, outside zone 3, he wavers, and a little bit of tire drop from James Dean.
Oh, jeez, though. And right at the end, just pushes in and just to like show that at any moment he could basically be running door to door with Odie Bakshis. It was just like a little point proving, hey, look what I can do.
Yep, knocking on his door, giving a little tap. There's the RTR camp watching on. Technicians, mechanics, Ben Hobson, his RTR teammate. Will it be decided here in Utah? The fate is truly in Odie Bakshis' hands. He could put a stop to this and push it to Irwindale. But now James Dean, let's send it here in Utah. Do we have a 2024 champion? in James the Machine Dean? Or is it Odie Bakshi's going to put a stop to it? Again, it's championship or push. James Dean goes that first outside zone, transition outside zone 2. Odie Bakshi's, now he makes his presence felt. Oh, look at him, angle for angle. James Dean dips a tire. 1, 2, trucks are flapping. It's championship or push. Odie Bakshi's gets thrown off. James Dean, massive angle. Odie Bakshi's riding shotgun in that right-hand drive Ford Mustang. Are you kidding me? Did you breathe, Jacob?
I am now.
Woo! Yes, sir. Oh, doctor. Look at James Dean. He knows Odie Bakshi's is right there. Championship or push. He holds the fate. If Odie wins, it comes to Irwindale, the House of Drift, October 19th, to find out who will be our 2024 champion. Let's take a look at the tape. Let's run it back.
This is going to come down to what happened in outside zone 2. There was obviously contact made, but we'll get there in just a second. James Dean out front, Odie Bakshi's following him behind. James gets that swing going. Odie a little bit more hesitant. James fills that first outside zone quite well. Odie pushing back a little bit. Now here, James gets into it. Odie starting to close the gap. James comes out of the zone just a bit, adds a bit more angle. There's front wheel contact, it looks like. So I have to come back to that section and replay that over and over again to make sure we know exactly what happened. Rest of the run, though, James Dean looks tidy. Odie in the pocket, so it's going to come down to this second outside zone. Who is at fault? What happened here? Because it does look like James Dean might have come out of the zone and then add more angle to get back in again. Let's see.
Be a little Odie shallow there, but James came out, as you said,
Yeah.
so both of them kind of bobbling, but no contact there.
No,
No contact there.
It looked like they might have touched when James was starting to push out of the zone. Odie was in the pocket and tries to come out a bit with him. But yeah, I think we're going to have to see it. We're going to have to see this a few times. But look at this first outside zone. That's just
Nailed it.
Beauty.
So James, good angle there. Odie dives on the inside.
Comes out. James adds angle. I don't
think
even
there
know if
was
they touch.
I don't think they touched on the front wheels.
So hard to say.
Odie was shallow, and that could have hurt him, but James went deeper in that second outside zone and got into, and you know, Odie, it's almost like, I don't want to say what Dylan did to James, but that's where the contact was made.
Yeah.
James by no means floated. He was on the throttle all the way, but dove in, some wavering. Both of them are shallow in that second outside zone. So again, the scenario is, if Odie wins, it goes to Irwindale. If James Dean wins, he is your 2024 champion, and Odie Bakshi's gets the win. Odie Bakshi's gets the win, and it's going to Irwindale. Wow.
All right, I know.
I mean, talk about sealing your own fate earlier today. So he is a giant killer. He is very capable of getting the victory and going to the final. Here it goes. Oh,
We had a cone.
restart?
Yep, we had a cone.
All right, we got a cone here, so that is a restart. Maybe a little bit of nerves there, Trent.
would.
Calm down.
I would.
No, not yet. I know, right?
Okay. I think I meant me having nerves.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Beecham right now, I'd be shaking a little bit, but he seems to be cool and calm and collected, and yeah, it should.
Oh, there's Queen Bee, Becky, his lady. Awesome, always so supportive of him. And James just has this smirk, this smile on his face. And, you know, think about James and what's going through his head. Just what a crazy season. He's seen all the seasons, literally, fire, rain. He's seen it all. He's seen the podium multiple times. And as he say, I'm buzzing, you know. And he's just, I really love James's energy. I'm so happy to see him back here in Formula Drift. He's a talented driver and just a great all-around guy. So here we go. Trent Beecham, Frederick Osbo. Beecham out of the gate, comes out swinging. He knows he can take down the a three-time champ. Here we go, Beecham in that first outside. Look at him using all of the course. He is possessed. Oh, Beecham, what do we got?
I think we got a DB.
Into that second outside zone. Now coming into that last outside zone, Frederick Osbo brings it right there. And look at Freddie banging on the door and across that finish line. That back right?
I think I'm almost positive there was a DB there, and it's possible too. Osbo got in real tight on initiation.
Yeah, that's the first time
if
I missed it
Osbo,
like that,
you know,
I tried
cracked
to
the side of that
correct
car,
it.
I mean, we could be looking at a pretty interesting situation here. But we'll watch back from our airforce.com replay. So Beecham really on it right away, and then comes over the rumble strips, and then we see.
Oh yeah. Oh man. No. And that's where we saw it yesterday in Pro Spec. You know, as the track changes, that's where we saw a couple D-beats, and that could hurt Trenton Beecham's efforts of going to the finals.
Yeah. Let's see if we can see it happening. Yeah, as he comes across that rumble strip. That's what does it.
Yep.
So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a...
Man, how he powered through that is pretty impressive. But, you know,
pretty sick, yeah.
And that's, you know, you saw Freddie just jump to the side of him. So crazy, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, huge kudos to Beecham to power through the rest of that run. We've seen a couple of drivers do that before, but yeah, rear tire DB'd rules. Rear tires are required to make 2 consecutive runs. The tire may be changed in a comp timeout. Only allowed if a DB is due to contact. So if changed, both competitors may change their tires. So if Osbo obviously like hit him and caused it to DB, that is one thing. If it DB'd completely independent, that is an entirely other situation. Not what we wanted to see here. I mean, we've seen a few DBs, but ultimately it's been pretty good. Definitely events with far more than what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and we saw a few of them in Pro Spec, but look at that.
Oh, man.
Oh, look at Freddie giving him his applause. You know, Beecham, you know, obviously we want to see him do battle with Osbo. He's taking him down, but with that DB'd, and again, the judges, was there contact? Was there contact between Osbo? There was no contact, so that unfortunately is Trenton Beecham DB'ing under, you know, no contact, so you cannot replace it. Frederick Osbo gets the win. This is his bye run. The car's running. It's Osbo and Bakshis in the finals. The Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota GR Supra is getting on the box once again. He got the win in Atlanta, and a great audience there, a great track. And you know, you got to think Shanahan. We saw that of James. That's wonderful. Here's your popcorn. Send it! Here we go. Frederick Osbo chasing down Odie Bakshis in that first outside zone. These are the finals here in Utah. The Type S Elevated. Round 7, and the championship's coming down to Irwindale. Odie Bakshis, like you said, perfection. Frederick Osbo, he brings it in. He's looking tight. That last outside zone. The cars are wound up, and there it is. Odie Bakshis once again. I mean, I feel like it's an RC car. He is on rails. There's magnets on the track, and he's got magnets underneath his car. He's just stuck to it like glue. The power of Lithuania is with them. There's many Lithuanians. There they are.
This man needs to be studied. This I truly cannot grasp how he is able to put down the same line time and time again, especially, like I said, with all these changing conditions that are going on. So let's take a look here, once again, at near perfection from Odie Bakshis. Good initiation, lines it up, gets to that zone, runs that rear tire to the edge of it, almost the entire way through that first outside zone, transitions out, floats. Frederick Osbo doing a great job in the chase, filling that zone, has to pull a little bit a line out to get back to Odie Bakshis. Now we go through the third outside zone. Once again, Odie Bakshis laying down a clinic. Nice left foot brake from both drivers. Freddie could be a bit more aggressive in the chase. It's the only thing I can dock him for at this point. Freddie's got to get back into the pocket. The only way you're going to beat Odie Bakshis right now is going to be on his door. The closest we've seen was Shanahan going one more time with him, and the only way he did that was by essentially trying to repaint that Feel logo. And that's what we need Osbo to do here, and he's not quite there. So, that being said, Freddie out front, he can put down the jets. He can really rock this, and maybe that's what's going to be needed to take Odie out. But man, this is wild.
This is so much fun, man, and this is just why I love Formula Drift. I'm so proud of where drifting has, you know, where it came from and where it's at and where it's going. 2004, 4 rounds, the progression of Hachirokus and S13s and even Dodge Vipers to now, you know, Toyota making a commitment, Ford making a commitment, many manufacturers making a commitment, tire manufacturers. And here it is. Let's send it for potentially the last time here in Utah. Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Osbo, the Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota GR Supra. Oh, knocks the bumper off of Odie Bakshis' S chassis. Freddie, he's got that special sauce. Let's see if he can pour it on the brisket Bakshis, right? Got that smoked meat into that second outside zone. Odie Bakshis has been perfection. He's shown a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of opportunity for Frederick Osbo. Diving in. Woo-wee!
Oh,
wow.
Another interesting one.
Sweaty and ready. Track temps are reading 118 degrees on the track surface, 118 on the asphalt.
It really is amazing that we're even keeping tires on the car at this point in time with that kind of track temp. So yeah, Odie being super, super aggressive here, taking off that front bumper. And yeah, Freddie looking real sturdy out front. I mean, not a lot of wavering, and we'll have to see here when we flip back to our replay if there's anything to dissect, if there's any mistakes that were made, and that it's going to come down to these very, very small errors to see who ends up winning this event here in Utah. So, Osbo, great initiation, nice and smooth, floats out to that first outside zone, and that's where we see Odie tapping Freddie ever so slightly. Freddie comes out of that zone just a touch early. Now Odie really hunting him down, pushing into that zone. Now Odie not able to get a ton of angle through that section. Freddie looking pretty stable out front, and this is where we see Odie closing that gap even more, just pushing the pace of Frederick Osbo out front. Man, look at this initiation though. Odie, right there, boop, just a little tap, just a tiny little tap, just enough to take that front bumper off. Talking about bumper budgets with RTR, but Odie's got the same thing. He's been through the body panels on this car and just slowly hunting Frederick Osbo through this entire run. Odie pulling a little bit of angle to keep that proximity up, but Frederick Osbo looking robotic and stable out at the front of this run. And Utah, you've got to be entertained with this super high-level driving here as we come down to the finals. Is it going to be Frederick Osbo or Odie Boxy's taking the win here in Salt Lake City?
And here are these guys, and they did premature celebrations because our judges are still analyzing this.
Yeah.
So again, they could go one more time. They could have a winner. We're going to look at the tail of the tape. Here we go. Maybe in their minds they're decided. Maybe
I don't know. I don't know how you decide that.
That's that. We are splitting hairs here. We are burning treads.
So, taking a look now with our side-by-side, I mean, both drivers doing a pretty decent job through the first outside zone. Odie might have been a little bit deeper through there, but Odie also did have that contact in the chase. Now, our second outside zone, it looks like Osbo is on a bit better of a line, but Odie's got a bit better proximity. Final zone, can we find any difference here? But not really. Both drivers keeping it pretty tight. I mean, Odie was slightly tighter on the chase, but Osbo might have had a bit better of a line, so I got nothing. I got no idea. I'm just here for the entertainment.
Oh, that's good.
Man, that's it.
And what's interesting here is, again, if we have a winner, we might have a winner. Might go one more time. But it looks like we have a winner. We have a winner, and we'll get to that. Let's bring down Trenton Beecham to join him here for his first ever Formula Drift podium. It's kind of cool. They
knew.
Surely celebrated, but
yeah.
Hey, round of applause for all our drivers. Thank you so much. Round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. A championship will be decided at Irwindale, California, the House of Drift, the magical House of Drift. October 18th and 19th. 18th is seating brackets, and then the 19th is the final round of our 2024 Formula Drift season. The Lithuanian fans are cheering. Make some noise as they step outside of their vehicle. The door opens. Odie Boxys, everybody! And Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Osbo. Here comes Trenton Beecham. All right, well, Trenton Beecham joining him down there. We'll announce third place, and we'll announce your winner here in Irwindale. Or here in Utah, excuse me. I got ahead of myself. I got ahead of myself. Round 7. Here in Utah, congratulations to Odie Boxys first for advancing on and pushing it to Irwindale. But look at this, again, a 3-time champion, Frederick Osbo. James Dean waits in the wings. Again, some great, all right, so here it is. Third place here, round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, his first ever FD podium from Southern California. Next in tires, the 999 Clonex BMW, Trenton Beecham!
Hell yeah.
And now, your winner. Again,
Thank you, guys.
with that win previously against James Dean, the championship will be decided in Irwindale. Join us October 18th and 19th for the final round of the 2024 season. Again, it's coming down to Irwindale. Your winner here at round 7 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, Type S, elevated, and the driver that elevated and gets the win is unanimously Odie Bakshis gets the win! And Frederick the Norwegian Hammer Osbo gets second here in Utah. Lithuania and all his family and friends cheering him on, and he wins in grand fashion. The pressure was on, and he did not crack. From beginning to end, he knew what needed to be done, and he pushes it to Irwindale even further, closing that point separation between him and James Dean. Jacob, you know, I want to get some words with you, of course, about what a crazy event, how hot, literally, figuratively, metaphorically, all of it. But the hottest driver is Odie Bakshis, and he is with Lorette Nickel.
Feels so good.
I'm so glad to hear that. And here's Amy. She just waved me off because they're about to celebrate this hard-earned win and an incredible job by these two. Amy and Odie, congratulations. Odie, what an incredible day. We have seen you drive like an absolute animal, and pressure makes diamonds, and you are shining.
There's definitely some pressure on me. You know, I felt it in top 32, especially going against Higa in top 32. You know, everyone was starting to step up, including him, and my quadrant was not easy, to be honest. Like, all these drivers are on it. Jeff Jones was pulling crazy runs, which is, you know, you got to be on your toes with everyone, and then heavy hitters, like a lot of them, you know, past champions. So thank you to the team for, you know, we had a chat. We said, look, guys, this is our Irwindale. We have a chance of holding on to a championship race, and I think they all got it. They all put in a lot of work. Yeah, is, you know, Chris pushing me to, hey, if we have to change the car, let's do it. We did a lot, you know, like we changed spring rates, we adjusted my field coilovers, we played with tire pressure, and this is all throughout practice and leading into today, and then some more today. So it was not easy, but this is what keeps it fun, you know. Freddie from Spec 2 just making sure this thing's alive because we were beating the crap out of it, you know, meltdown temperatures on some stuff, and you know, he's just doing his wizardry magic on the computer to make sure these things are happy. And yeah, just looking forward to carrying this momentum into Irwindale.
A day, in your words, that was not easy. How did you keep your composure?
You know, I've been doing this for over a decade, so I've learned, you know, to just remind myself that, hey, I'm here. This is what a lot of people wish they could be doing. This is what I wish I was doing before I did this, and I have to remind myself that. So no matter how it goes, I'm here doing the stuff that I only dreamed of doing.
Odie, we are so happy for you. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Your winner of Utah, Odie Bakshis.
Wow. When we come back, we'll have the results, point standings, headed to Irwindale. Short break. When we come back, we'll give you the numbers, and we'll sign you off. We'll be right back here from Utah. Congratulations to Odie, Osbo, and of course, first ever FD podium, Trent Beach. And we'll come back, we'll give you the math, we'll figure it all out here in Utah.
Is this it?
This is it!
Passionate about a life in racing? Circle track, drag racing, drifting, or monster jam. Find it all at the University of Northwestern Ohio.
The passion here is very different than I've seen any other school. You guys set them up very, very well to succeed and to win in a big-time way.
The fact there's a school you can go to for racing is just a little bit insane, but it's very cool because it gives kids like me the opportunity to chase that dream.
See where your future can take you with a high-performance motorsports degree from the University of Northwestern Ohio.
If the first thing you think of when you see a pickup truck is this kind of hauling, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
The next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer.
Which should give us full communication and full control over all the sensors.
But so far, being able to log in and review every lap has been a huge plus. To have Link pull through and step up for us and just help us out to be able to all pull it together.
That's all we need. Simple, cheap, easy, works, good ECU, weatherproof.
It's got enough IOs too, like we're doing tons of stuff. Oil, fuel pressure, boost control.
All those features I have thanks to the Link ECU.
Odie Bakshish gets the win. Let's take a look at this. Jacob talking to the judges. They said outside zone 1, his chase is just that much more refined. What else?
Yeah, I mean, Odie, obviously he was almost perfect in the lead the entire event, and this first outside zone, he gets into it right away. He's on the edge of it. He pushes it through the entire thing. So outside zone 1 was kind of the differential when it came to the judges' eyes. Second outside zone, everything still looks good. He runs the zone the entire way through. Nothing against Frederick Osbo. We're literally splitting hairs at this point. But when it comes to the lead, Odie really got that first outside zone a little bit better than Freddie. And then when it comes to the chase, so you can see there, it takes Freddie a little bit to get in, and then leaves a little bit earlier. And when it comes to the chase, Odie is just far more consistent. He does fill up that zone the entire way, and he pushes really hard all the way through the chase. There's a couple of spots where maybe he scrubbed a bit of angle, but proximity is there, and then starts to fill the rest of the zone out. So just these little points here and there. I chatted with him. We got these small things, but yeah, it was really tight, and it just came down to those few small sectors.
Yeah, and there it is. You're seeing the breakdown. So it's within 100 points. It's coming down to Irwindale. It's coming down to Irwindale. James Dean, he doesn't wrap it up here in Utah. And again, us being the storytellers, including the Rhett Nickel, again, the story unfolds. We're your tour guides. But Frederick Osbo bumps up to third. And look at this. 436. Osbo could jump up. Could jump up to seconds. Crazy things would have to happen. But Matt, look at that. The old guard and the new guns, or the young guns, coming in. But Field, Turk, Olsen, what a round, man. Just overall, kind of coming into this, we're all kind of chatting emails and all that stuff. And Ryan says, here's the scenarios. And it's like, all right, we thought it was going to kind of, all signs are saying that James Dean's going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I love that they dictated it in Final Four.
Yeah, it was great. This is what we wanted, the way the bracket all built out. It was just absolutely epic, and we saw some of the best driving we've ever seen. So, super pumped on it. And, honey, if you're watching, I'll be home tomorrow for the first time in a month. And, Jared, this is great. Love working with you, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Jacob Gettins, on behalf of Lorette Nickel, the judges, Vernon, Robbie, Brian. Thank you to Ryan Sage. Thank you to all the drivers. Thank you for the teams. Thank you to the fans for being so loyal. And you shout out to your wife. I'm going to shout out mine, babe. I love you so much. Can't wait to see you. T-Bone, I'll see you. Parker, love you too. Enjoy everything you're doing up there in Flagstaff, Arizona. We'll see you online, and we'll see you another time, because we're going to Irwindale, the House of Drift, October 18th and 19th, baby. A 2024 Formula Drift champion will be crowned. All signs are saying James Dean, but of course, doesn't start until we get to Irwindale. Thank you so much to Kemp and his whole team and the live stream. It's a hot one, on track, off track. Now we're going to celebrate Pro Spec, and I need a beer. Send it, Formula Drift Nation.
I'm gonna get back when I feel like you know I don't play right. I'll put up a good fight. Just give me the word, like, you know I don't play right. You know I don't play right. Don't give me this. I'm gonna get back when I feel like you.